If I can only have one superpower, it would be this: the ability to work on something consistently over time. Because if you can do that, you will be successful. It's a matter of time if you don't quit and you learn from your mistakes. Most people, though, they try to do too many things at once. I can't tell you how many patients I've had that try to, they're going to try to lose weight, they're going to try to go on a meal plan, or they're going to try to start meditating all at the same time. And, unsurprisingly, they fail because change is hard. Change is really hard. It takes a lot of effort. Your brain doesn't like to exert excess energy, and you have to develop new habits, and that takes a lot of effort. So, you look at your effort as like your army. And if you spread your army out doing multiple battles at once, aka trying to take on multiple habits at once, you're more likely to fail. So, your ability to focus all of your attention and energy onto one thing is a superpower. And one of the things that changed my life. I used to be a I used to be a loser, when I was going into my 30s. I had like very little drive. I had a college degree. I had just gotten back from overseas, no plan whatsoever. And I just started doing one thing. And really, I just decided to go back to graduate school. My initial plan was to get a master's degree in counseling and go back to Thailand, where I was, and work at international school. I was previously teaching English. Through that, as I went to graduate school for my master's program, I realized that I wanted to become a clinical psychologist. And so for the next, 8 years, my one goal was to become a clinical psychologist and get my PhD. So that was like 2 years of volunteering in a research lab and then 6 years of a PhD program. And I just focused on that one thing. That was it. That was my primary goal. And every day or most days, I would work towards that goal. Whether that was volunteering at a lab, whether that was studying for the GRE, and then in graduate school, working on whatever I needed to work on. And you can break that down too into like subtasks. Like when I had my dissertation, I think that took about a year and a half. I literally worked on it 5 days a week. That was my only goal. That was my main goal. Wasn't my only goal, but yeah, it was my main goal. I was also seeing patients at the time, but my primary goal was to work on my dissertation. Okay. And I think this is so underrated because people's attention span now is just shit. They can't stick with anything. Alex Hormozy was talking about this. There was like some clip I saw. It's like, people can't stick with shit. They're addicted to their phones, blah, 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 blah. If you could stick with one thing, you're going to be ahead of the pack. And it's true. I think as society, we have become extremely lazy. I can't really fault that. There's so many modern conveniences. But if you can work on something consistently, it's a superpower and you're going to get where you want to go. It worked for me. After my PhD, I was like, okay, I want to start a business. So I worked on an app almost every day for a year and a half. And it was probably harder than my PhD in the sense that there was no roadmap, there were no clear guidelines. It was just me, chipping away at this tree until it fell down, aka I launched it. I knew after, doing 8 years to get a PhD, it's a matter of time. And that's the mindset you develop when you can just consistently work on one thing over time. It's a matter of time because I know if I don't quit, I'm going to get what I want. Like it doesn't have an option. And the universe, I think, will test you and you'll have a host of challenges on whatever task you want. But I really think if you just show up and chip away at it, the tree is going to fall. And it's a beautiful thing when you realize through experience that you can go after and get what you want. You just have to like do it every day or, multiple times a week. There's literally a whole book on that. It's called The One Thing by, I don't know, Gary something. And I'll summarize it. Just do fucking one thing. Just do one thing every day. I don't know. You just see so many people give up and make excuses. Like, oh, what's the point of trying? Or, what, it's not working yet. Who is this? What is the $1 million, what is it? The Millionaire Fast Lane or something? He talks about this. Like, you have to act until echo. Meaning, like, the fruits of your labor aren't going to be shown for some time. Like, you have to go, months, days, months, years without reinforcement. It's a long time, and it's a dark road sometimes, and it's a lonely road because you're working on that thing and you're not getting praised for it. Maybe you're not getting money for it. I mean, it's something I've learned over time. Like, intelligence is less important than consistent work on one thing. It's similar to video game. I think about like video games. Like I'm playing Battlefield right now. I used to play Call of Duty, and before that, way back in the day, I used to play Counter Strike. And I know the typical trajectory of this is, or when I get a game is, I'm gonna eat shit for about 3 or 4 months. I'm gonna suck. I'm gonna get my ass handed to me. But I know if I keep playing and I try to get better, I'm gonna fucking crush people. And that's what happens. I mean, and you can apply that mindset to whatever it is you're trying to achieve. But working on something consistently, really, as a part of that, you have to develop the ability to eat shit. And what I mean by that is like you have to learn how to suck. Like in the what I mean, like the beginning of the learning curve is very difficult and slow and arduous. Any new kind of skill. Maybe it's like you're learning how to work out. Maybe you're playing an instrument. It's similar to that, right? It's really difficult and it takes a lot of effort and it's frustrating. But like if someone told me they learned how to like play an instrument as a younger child, I mean like I have more confidence in their ability than the person who's like naturally gifted in something, but didn't really have to work at it. But learning how, and this is cheesy, but learning how to get comfortable with sucking and being uncomfortable. I'll use the video game kind of metaphor too. It's like you see people complaining. Well, on Reddit, everyone complain. All the people in the Battlefield forums, they just bitch about, oh, people are doing X, Y, and Z. It's not fair. They just bitch. They're never going to be successful if they just like played more and learned from their mistakes. You can apply this to business. Oh, it's not fair. The market's not fair, or my boss isn't fair. Okay, and what are you going to do about it? So, again, just working at that thing is much better than complaining about what actually is, because then you're just arguing against reality. What's that scene in Wolf of Wall Street? He's, where Leo's talking about, like, oh, good, pick up the phone and start dialing. Your wife left you, you don't have enough money, good, pick up the phone and start dialing. It's similar to that. Like, okay, you're mad where you're at. Okay, work on that one thing. Do an hour a day. And do it till you meet your goal. Like make a commitment to yourself. And that's another thing that's big about this is like learning how to make commitments to yourself is a very valuable and underrated skill. Because the more you pursue through adversity, the more you gain confidence in yourself when you set a goal. For me, surprisingly, I gained more confidence in myself after I launched an app because I had been talking about making a business on and off for like 6 years, and it was like starting to haunt me because it terrifies me to be a person who like says they're going to do something to other people and get that validation without actually doing it. So it was really important for me once I did that. Like, and again, my app right now is not making any money, and I don't care. I mean, I would like for it to make money, but the fact that I executed on my vision was huge because it was one of the most challenging and frustrating things in my life because I don't know how to code and I vibe coded it, blah, 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 blah. But if you work on it consistently, you're going to figure it out like I did. And so ask yourself, like, what's the one thing that, if you worked on it every day could potentially change your life? That's a great way to identify something to work on. Like, you think about the risk reward. Like, what is the upside of this? For me, when I did the PhD, it was really important to me because that was like the peak of the mountain as far as qualifications and skills. And, I talked about this in another video. It was what I was going to regret if I didn't do. And it would change my life because it would set me up, occupationally. I would have like probably a little difficulty getting a job, which I didn't. And then, as I entered my career, I started working on an app because then I was like, okay, what's the one thing I can work on right now that could potentially change my life? That's actually the best framework, I would say. What is the one thing you can work on today that could potentially change your life? Maybe it's developing a new skill. Maybe it's starting a business. That's kind of my interest now, or entrepreneurial, because I want financial freedom, because financial freedom buys you freedom for your time. And just work on it. Just give yourself, commit to yourself to a certain amount of time. It doesn't have to be a year, maybe just a month. Like, start small, crawl, walk, run. Even before I decided to get the PhD, I just developed a habit of just like reading every day. I think I read like 15 minutes. And that exposed me to the ideas what was possible. So I encourage you all to identify a goal and work on it every day, because I'm telling you from experience, I'm not here to brag, but it changed my fucking life, and I hope it changes yours.